After round 17, the verdict is in, and for the second week in a row, we're going straight to the Tribunal. Hello everyone. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not Matt Thompson. He's at the Olympics, but one man who has remained on home soil is Match Review Panel Chairman Mark Fraser. And Mark, you've referred Jeremy Howe from Melbourne straight to the Tribunal for misconduct after a fairly bizarre incident involving Port's Tom Jonas on Saturday night.
Yes, with this incident, we had a direct referral saying that Howe had potentially smeared blood on Jonas. So from the vision, you see Howe lift his leg and make contact with Jonas. Jonas turns and looks around and then speaks to the boundary umpire. We conducted an investigation on this, and from the information we gained in that, we decided that Howe had a case to answer in the regards of misconduct. So that isn't referred to in our table of offences, and we believe that this case needs to be heard by the Tribunal to determine the outcome and potential penalty.
So there has been one previous case of something similar to this happening where Nathan Buckley was suspended for a week for wiping blood on Cameron Ling in 2002. You couldn't use that case as precedent and consider suspending him here?
Oh, we did look at that case in regards to the potential penalty for what had been done in the past, but we don't have the ability to give points as a we need to go direct to the Tribunal for anything like that to occur.
Okay, well the other big one this week involves Geelong defender Matthew Scarlett, who's been given a one-week suspension for striking bomber Corey Dall'Olio. The MRP assessed this as reckless, low impact and high contact, and because of his existing record, he can't reduce that with a guilty plea. Mark, what was the panel's view on this?
Yeah, here you see Scarlett swinging his right arm back and makes forceful high contact to Dall'Olio. We believe that this constituted a reckless striking action and there's sufficient enough force there to warrant a charge. So obviously with his poor record he gets the match, but that would normally be a reprimand.
Now you didn't consider grading that one as intentional?
No, when he's not looking at the player and he swings the arm back like that, it's more of a reckless action.
Okay, and the other big one, let's move to Sunday, and that quarter-time melee between North Melbourne and Richmond. 18 players in total, 11 from the Kangaroos and 7 from the Tigers, fined a total of $27,000. Mark, this wasn't a great look, was it?
No, it certainly wasn't great for the game, this sort of thing. And with this, we sort of look at each individual player as they run into the melee and then their involvement after that. So there's enough vigour in what they're doing, and we believe that goes on for long enough, then we'll cite them for being involved in the melee.
A couple of points I'd like to ask you about here. You haven't charged anyone with instigating the melee. Why not?
Normally there's an action that starts the melee off, and with this we didn't think that the action was that significant at all. The two North players that come in after that, and then they all come in sort of following that, so we didn't think that there was one particular instigator of the melee from that perspective.
And the North tall forward Lockie Hansen was there with Stephen Morris right when the melee erupted. It was the initial tangle that started it all, but he wasn't charged with being engaged in the melee. What did you see his involvement there?
With him, we certainly looked at what his involvement was, but we didn't believe that he was an active participant in the melee. We thought that he got dragged through the melee a fair bit, but wasn't particularly actively involved in it.
And the last one, just the number of players involved. We had 18 players charged. It looked from being at the ground like pretty much every player in the game was involved, apart from maybe North's 4 interchange players. How do you decide who gets charged and who doesn't?
Yeah, well, we certainly go through every single player that's involved in the melee. So we slow the vision down, we see when they run in, and we follow each individual person for the entire length of the melee and see what their involvement has been. If there's been minor involvement, we don't tend to charge people for that. So we believe that with a number of players, there's only very minor involvement.
All right, well, that's the 3 charges that we're going to have a look at. We've got 3 more where players weren't charged from the weekend. First off, Paul Bauer for this bump on Christian Howard. The MRP said he couldn't have avoided this contact, Mark.
Yeah, with this, you see Howard has the ball and Bauer comes in. He's initially got his arms down to tackle, but then within one step he's just bracing for contact. And we didn't believe that he had a realistic alternative to do anything else there, so that the actual contact was sort of just something he was going to do no matter what happened, so he didn't have any other way to contest.
Next up, Beau Waters and Kurt Tippett. This did leave Tippett concussed, but the MRP view that it was completely accidental.
Yeah, you see Tippett trying to kick the ball and Waters comes in and he's trying to smother, and unfortunately there's that head clash that occurs. A head clash is not a reportable offence. No players go into a contest wanting a head clash, so it's more deemed as accidental.
Have been some comparisons today between this and last week's Jack Ziebell incident that ended up with Ziebell suspended for 4 weeks after he went to the tribunal and lost. Do you see any similarities at all there?
We don't see those as similar in any way, shape or form. With the Ziebell one, he's jumped in the air. We didn't think that he was competing for the ball, so there's completely different to that one.
And final one for you, Mark, is Ben McGlynn for the Swans, who's been cleared for this bump on St Kilda's Brendan Goddard. You had no problems with this?
Yeah, and this is similar to the Tippett one. You see both players going for the ball and McGlynn legally bumps Goddard and there's that accidental head clash. So, as I said previously, the accidental head clash is not deemed to be a reportable incident.
So even though he did get him in the head, how do you decide when a player bumps someone, they hit them in the head, whether it's reportable or not?
If they've got a realistic alternative and also their action as well. So a head clash, unless somebody jumps off the ground in a reckless manner, that can be potentially, if there's a head clash involved with that, that could potentially be reportable. But generally, if they've got a realistic alternative going for the ball and they bump somebody high, not a head clash is reportable.
All right, well, that's the verdict for this week. Players cited have until 11 o'clock Tuesday morning to decide if they want to challenge their charges. You'll find a full report on all incidents here online. And from all of us at afl.com.au, thanks for watching and we'll see you soon.